Damien Hines.
Thank you, Sir Charles. It's a great pleasure to see you in the chair today, and I congratulate the Honourable Lady, the member for Richmond, on securing this important debate. Last time out when we were debating this in October, I think, in the main chamber, I talked about three main themes. I'm going to cover broadly the same three themes today, but hope to do so in a fresh and original way in the time available. The first is that with any algorithm, any formula, of course it's right to look at the inputs and the way the formula works, the logic of it, and to see if we think those things are right. But it's also right to look at what the output of that formula is, and if the output seems to jar with the original intention, to go back and look at what those inputs and the logic were in the first place. Now, this is not the time and the place to do that. I think constructing an algorithm in a Westminster Hall debate is probably about as sensible as design by committee. But I think all of these aspects do warrant a fresh look. Starting with very basic things like how we define affordability. And sometimes the median is not the most appropriate thing to use. There's a danger that in a constituency like mine, where median incomes are based, obviously, to some extent on the incomes of people who are working outside the area, that if you drive your house building targets based on those numbers, the result of that might be that you build more and more larger executive homes which are pricey and remain unaffordable to the people to whom you were trying to make housing more affordable. So in a constituency like mine, I suspect for some others as well, yes, we do need more houses. I think everybody these days accepts that we need to get the supply and demand into better kilter. But there is also an important question of mix and making sure that as we increase those numbers, that increases more houses which are genuinely affordable in the sense meant by people who come to our surgeries, not capital A affordable only, as it's meant in the public sector, but like a home I can afford, and a home I can afford to aspire to buy. If she's going to be very quick, yes.
The social rent, does he agree that the existing affordable home ownership product is a much better way of delivering social housing than the First Homes proposal currently in the paper?
So I think, look, she raises important points, but I think there is an important need for housing of all different types, of all different sizes, of all different tenures, and there are different ways of delivering them. In the time we have available, I'm afraid we're not going to get to the bottom of evaluating all of them in some sort of ordinal way. The third and really important point I want to make is about national parks. And I don't know how there are others here representing national park areas. But you have this particular issue where part of a constituency is in a national park and part is outside. And they have very different constraints in terms of how land can be used. There is a danger that if you set a housing target or a housing requirement on the basis of the entire area, containing both national park and non-national park, but then there are different constraints on what can actually be done according to which park you are in, you end up with insufficient creation of new homes inside the national park and too much potentially on the edge. And there's a piece of work came out from the Nationwide just a few weeks ago, suggesting that house prices in national parks have something like a 20% house price premium compared to those areas outside. And in a constituency like mine, that is a huge amount of money in terms of difference. The Office for National Statistics is currently working on doing some further work where hopefully we'll be able to develop those figures further. But it's also very important for the areas just outside the national park. And in my constituency, that's areas like Alton and Foremarks, where you potentially get a disproportionate amount of development just in that border zone, as it were, which can then put some considerable strain on infrastructure and provision of services, which can be difficult then to make sure are adequately provided. So look, I realise there's been a lot of debate about these proposals. I know ministers have been in listening mode and have been very good, actually, in listening to colleagues from right across the House. And I do hope that as it develops further, it'll be possible to take these considerations into account.